Good morning, guys. This recording is how I aerate my koi ponds. Before I show you what I do, I want to explain to you the concept, how I do them, because when I aerate my koi pond, I do not use any air pumps. I find them to be inefficient. So the concept is you want to get your water flowing on the surface or the movement of the water as much as possible. You want your surface to break as much as possible. You want if there is air infused into the water, you want the particle, the air bubble to be as small as possible. Because the smaller it is, the more times it gets to infuse into the water before it evaporate up and out into the air again. So if you understand those three concepts, then you can definitely aerate your pond without any air pump at all. So first concepts, as much water movement on the surface as possible, as much breakage on the surface as possible, as much and as small of an air bubble if you do infuse air into your water as much as possible. So with that three concepts in mind, let's go and see how I aerate my koi pond without an air pump. Alright, so let's go. So here's my koi pond. And here are my koi. So they want some food. So let's give them some food. Okay. Okay. So first thing first, let's put this down. As you can see, my skimmers are at the end of the koi pond. My sump pump, the pump that's deepest part of the pond, is also at the end of the koi pond. So the water will flow from here, from this two skimmer and the sump pump, up to the filter, and from the filter it go back down into the fall, the main one, and four of the small one on each side. Alright? And with that, it forced the water to move. It create a stream pretty much. So the water will always move from there to here at all time. Alright? You see the skimmer is doing its job. This is the particle from the fish food, and it's sucking it in. So the top part, the top water always get exchanged. Therefore, it add air into your pond. Now, if your pond is stagnant, then there's not a lot of oxygen exchange between the water and between the water. So therefore, there's not a lot of dissolved oxygen in your pond. So that's the first thing. You want a stream, you want a flow. As long as you create that flow, that will help with your koi. So once that flow is set, we move on to the next one. Now, with all of the breakage, as I said, you have to have a lot of breakage in your water. And you can tell the water flowing from the fall, because it's flowing, that action actually added a lot of oxygen. And when it flow and then it break right there, see those here? That part will be the most important one, because that breakage in the water force the oxygen to be absorbed into the water. And all of that is everywhere in this pond. Okay? The next one is, let's say we we force air into the water like an air pump. The next step I use is called a Venturi effect. Venturi effect is what it does is whenever this line here is from the skimmer, so it will skim to here, it'll flow to here. You see this valve here? This valve here will suck in the air, okay, and it mix with the water, and there's a pipe that go all the way down. Because it go all the way down, air has to rise back up. So you can tell, let me push it down for you here. There are bubbles, you know, going up right here. That is due to the Venturi effect of this built here. And that is also the same thing for this one too. So this two lines, this line here are from the skimmers, and then it will flow, the water will flow to here. It's because of that there's an opening right here. It sucked in the air. You can hear the gurgle effect. And so even if I put a lid, if I put my hand on top here, I can feel that it's sucking my hand right here, sucking it down. So when it flow, it forced the oxygen to be mixed with the water, and like all the other one is the same. The pipe will go all the way down, and then it will have the air and the water have to be forced back up. And when it forced back up, though, it creates the bubble. But even with the bubble, with that, it got blocked by all the caps, and it give it time to, you know, dissolve into the water. And here's the same thing too. With here, because of the flow, it just break that water, and then create all that bubble, all that oxygen exchange is happening right there. All right. And the next one that the next build is this my DIY drum filter. All right. With the drum filter, I use this pump here to pump the water to make this drum filter to spin. And because of that, you look down there and you can see it. There is a lot of movement, and I mean a lot of oxygen mixing into the water. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you see that? So all those are air and water, oxygen and water mixing into each other. All that effect adds more oxygen into your pond, and that is without using any air pump, and it's easier than using an air pump because it happens not inside your pond, but it's outside your pond. So that's why your water will be clearer and cleaner because you don't see any bubbles in your ponds. Now you add in an air pump in your pond, then you see those bubbles rise up, and that will create an effect where it won't be as clean, as clear as this here. All right, and then let's move on to the next one. So we already got the water, the movement of the water, the breakage on the top of the water, the forcing of oxygen into the water by the Venturi effect. Next here is I built this. This is my aquaponic system. So, but this concept is the same thing as most of your pond that you use to aerate your pond. This water will pump for 15 minutes, and then it will stop. And because it stopped, it would drain back down. Because of that effector, when it drained back down, it also add in more oxygen into the water. All right. And the last but not least, I found this to be one of the best ways to add more oxygen into your pond. Here, this is not an air pump. All right. This is just 25 watts water pump. What it does is, let me show you here. I'll show show you here. See? All that bubble. And it's not even... See if this can zoom in. Okay, let me show you. See here? Now that's not from air pump at all. It's actually from water pump. So my pump is like this kind of pump here. Alright. So what I do though is I flip it upside down. And this concept is the same with this one here. So I'll show you this concept here. I don't know if you can zoom in it. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, let's see. So the reason I let this water drip right here, right in front of the pump, because when it hits the water surface, it creates bubbles, and with that bubbles, when it go down, it gets sucked in by the pump. And when the pump sucks in the bubbles, it mixes with the water and the oxygens together, right? And this whole time it's being forced and mixed together, and then it'll go out here. All right. So that concept, this concept here, is the same as this concept here. It's just that I flip my pump up. So let me show you here. Okay. So because of the breakage of the surface right here, the pump sucks in the water and the oxygen at the same time, and it will pump out. And it will pump out because of all the oxygen is being sucked in with the water. It creates those fine, small air bubbles. And those fine, small air bubbles, because it's a pump, it forces the water to move. So with this tank here, the water surface is always moving. And this is the heart of my aquaponic system inside the greenhouse. But this system though is also connected to the pond too though. So this whole two systems are connected. So you add in so much oxygen without using any air pump at all. So when you guys want to try this method, it's actually one of the best ways to do it. Flip your pump upside down, and then you do something where it creates a bubble, and then because of your pump suck in the water, it also suck in the bubble and break down that bubble to small fine particles. And that small fine particle then mix in and have more time to absorb into the water. So I find that this is the best way to add oxygen into the water. Alright, and this is the same thing, the concept is the same. This one I just leave the pump as is. I just make sure I get some breakage right at the front of the pump, and that breakage create bubbles, and that bubbles will get sucked into the pump with the water, mixing it, excuse me, and then create that oxygen exchange. So that's how I aerate my koi pond without any oxygens, without any air pumps at all. And I find them to be the most efficient, because I find those air pumps not as efficient, because as time goes on they get hot and they are forcing hot air, and the air stone from time to time can get clogged and stuff that make it less efficient. So why not use a pump that pump the water, forcing the movement of your water, forcing the air bubble to be injected into the water. And that's the best way to do. So if you guys have any questions, you guys let me know, and I will try to answer for you as fast as I can. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys. You guys have a good day.